Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is your girl Adar, and if you don't know, you're listening to the Digital Sisterhood podcast. So this, we're gonna keep this Love-tember vibe going, okay? We've had brothers on the podcast playing vibe check. We've had sisters on the podcast playing vibe check. By the way, the sisters, the brothers, everyone so far, even Asma, mashallah, have been killing it. And I'm excited to explore more love stories. Like, that's just where I'm at. I need to hear that cozy, warm, fuzzy feeling that, real love, good love stories give you. And so we're going to continue this Love-tember with a fantastic story about love. So, welcome to my podcast. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to have you. I heard your story, a little bit about it, not too much. I've heard a synopsis about it. I'm super excited to hear about it more. But first, before that, I'd like to know, who are you?
Oh, wow. That's interesting because when people ask me that, I say I'm a ghost. I'm Casper. I'm just a regular girl from Toronto.
The six.
Pretty much just trying to. I don't know. My motto is always clear skin and happiness. So I'll say that's me. I'm the second youngest in my family. So I have two older brothers. So it was really interesting, growing up with because my oldest brother is only 2 years older than me. Well, not my oldest, sorry. My second oldest brother is only 2 years older than me. And then my oldest brother is 7 years older than me. So I'm closer to my second older brother. And I had to go to school with him. And there's a whole dynamic right there because it's oh, that you're so-and-so sister. I'm not talking to you. Everybody in my family is known, because they're in the community and stuff like that. But I've always been just walking to the beat of my own drum. I don't have the traditional friends that everybody else in the community has. So yeah, my personality is laid back now, super laid back. I'm not the loudest in the room. I don't like to be the center of attention. That's why I'm doing a podcast now.
Today you're a main character.
Today I'm a main character. Definitely a main character in my life.
Yeah, love that.
Took me some time to get there, just like my love story.
Yeah. Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to tease it. But
every time I hear the word love, I just get excited. So Leema wasn't your ordinary Somali girl, okay? She was into rock, Avril Lavigne, Fifi Dobson. For those who remember Fifi Dobson, she was a black woman, but she was also a rocker. So trendy back then. While people her age were maybe into baby fat, apple bottom jeans. And because Leema was different, people didn't celebrate that difference. In actuality, Leema really struggled in school, being who she is, being different, being so expressive, and being unapologetic.
The funny thing is till the now, I don't even look at it like it's bullying. But it basically is, though.
It is.
Right? In high school, same thing happened. And I was just I'm what is... And my best friend that I grew up with, who was also Somali, we went to Duxie together. She's still my very best friend till now. I would tell her about it, but me and her were the aliens. So it's we just ended up being aliens. So it's okay. So then I just, I was if people think I'm that different, I leaned into it. I was you know what? I'm gonna wear if you think I want to be ajnabi so bad, I'm gonna dress ajnabi. I'm gonna dye my hair all different colors. And I actually did that.
You were really that Somali girl. The one that was doing different things,
Pretty much.
You different.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So Leema had her first crush, like we all do at that age, with this guy who actually liked her for all of her difference. Loved her for her Avril Lavigne, hair and look and, makeup. And she finally felt okay, yes, somebody likes me who he is. I always knew I was bomb, And things took quickly a left turn when Leema and her crush had an argument. And that argument escalated, and it ended up with him basically telling her that all of the things he said he liked about her, all of the difference, wasn't true. In reality, he didn't like it, and he called her a weirdo. And that really devastated Leema, especially at that age where, you're looking, for self-acceptance and self-love, and you're trying to explore identity and who and what you are. And to have somebody just call out the one thing that you don't want somebody that you have a crush on, that you like, say that to you. It really affected her, so much so that she ended up changing schools. She said, I'm done. I can't stay here. I don't want to stay at a school where people dislike me and who write about me in bathroom walls. And I'm out of here. I'm gone. I'm going to start over.
The thing is like, one thing I said about me and my best friend is like, at the end of the day, like, we really loved ourselves. Like, we thought we were like the bee's knees, Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing. Like, when people don't recognize self-love, mm-hmm. and it's a stranger to them, or it's like something foreign, mm-hmm. I feel like they naturally attack it. Like, oh, you're arrogant. Mm. Oh, you're this, you're that. Just because they don't recognize what self-love looks like. Mm. And it's like, to me, it's like, I could be like, in high school and middle school, I was always like, I could be 300 pounds, I could be 120 pounds, but guess what? I am beautiful.
Period.
And one thing my mom actually said this to me. She said, no matter what you look like, mm-hmm. like, those things don't matter. It's your character. But remember, there's always somebody for somebody, if that makes sense.
Wow. Absolutely. And I love that, Yeah. Like, I love that because it's sometimes when you're going through like a journey of self-love, let's say you're at the beginning of your journey where you don't really love yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't think that there is somebody for you, right? Because mm-hmm. you can't even be that somebody for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you can't it's hard to love you, and so you can't imagine someone loving you. And it's obviously, it's multi-layered, right? Yeah. Being, Black, being Muslim, lack of representation of us in a beautiful way, mm-hmm. and just seeing white women and then trying to meet those standards, which is impossible. It's impossible. Yep. But, and then that feeling of like, okay, I'm never going to get there. So thus equals you ain't cute. You know what I'm saying?
It was like, for me, I feel like, and it's crazy that we're talking about this, because now that I'm revisiting it, mm-hmm. I was like, I just didn't recognize all of these things before.
Yeah. I
was like, I got something new from my therapist. I have more material now for the both of them.
I love that. So you go to therapy, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
100%.
Leema at 17 was not into boys. I mean, after the experience she had with her first crush, she was probably over it. And so Leema carried herself in that fashion. She's like, I'm good. I'm not looking for all of that. I'm sufficient. I'm happy where I am, and I'm cool with that. But things changed for Leema that day when she got off the bus.
I was coming back from work. I got off the bus. Mm-hmm. And usually when guys used to talk to me on the street, I used to ignore it. Because I was just like, I need to know you somehow. Somebody's cousin, sister, stepbrother, cousin, whoever. Like, somebody needs to know you just in case you're a serial killer.
Period.
Because my brain is not, brain is very irrational.
And nobody is interested in being on the 6 o'clock news, period.
Nope.
Who is trying to find, no, there's no way.
No, my mom's favorite line is like, keep doing what you're doing. That's one thing she always told me. And I'm like, you know what?
Not the Batmado, please.
Literally, Batmado, visualize it.
In English, Batmado means the black bag. Her mom basically said, keep doing what you're doing.
I forgot I said it in Somali.
Yeah. What is it? Keep doing what you're doing.
You're going to end up in a black garbage bag. And she used to say the bottom of Lake Ontario. I was like, Lake Ontario.
Somali women coming for the description. First of all, for me, the description and the location. They will let you know exactly what's going to happen to you. So you got off the bus at 17.
So I got off the bus at 17. I remember I was working a market research company doing surveys.
Oh, God.
Oh my god.
The trauma. I'm already triggered.
It's like the Toronto like employment story. Swear to God.
SubhanAllah.
So I got off the bus. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get myself pizza, whatever. So then I'm walking home, and then I see this tall black man and a short black man.
Okay.
The short one's gonna be important. Okay. So he's like, "Hey, beautiful," and I didn't even turn around. I was just like, "Yeah, I know," and I kept walking.
Oh, you said, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, I know, and I kept walking because I was just like, "Oh, whatever," you know. It's just like I work downtown, so you could only imagine the amount of people that just say all types of crazy things. And then his friend goes, "Hey, excuse me, my friend is trying to talk to you." So I'm like, oh, he was really nice. He said, "Hey, excuse me, my friend's trying to talk to you." So I turned around. I was like, wow, he is handsome.
Oh, so that's when you were like, what?
I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I wear glasses, so you can imagine how blind I am. Okay.
So when you got off, you didn't notice.
I didn't even. When I tell you, I did not look at men when I used to walk by them because I used to think that I was hot sauce.
Hot commodity.
I was gonna say hot tamale, but like I don't know the words these days. I'm too old. I literally was like, yeah, I know, and I kept walking because I'm just like, who are you? Just kept walking. Cause I was on a mission. Okay, first of all, I'm hungry. Like I got off of this job that I hate, and now you want to bother me? Like, leave me alone. I'm gonna keep walking. So I turn around, I see him, and I'm like, oh, wow, he's really handsome. He was tall. I don't even know who to compare him to, but he was really good looking. Yeah. And I'm like, and he had like caramel skin, and like he had like broad shoulders. So I was like, oh, okay. So I don't remember the conversation, but I just remember me not giving him my number because I'm not going to give you my phone number.
I'm still not trying to be on 6 o'clock news.
Exactly. So I was like, I'll take your number. So I went home. And then I talked to my friend at the time. She was a really close friend at the time, and she lived very close to me. And I'm like, hey, I met this guy, and he's like really good looking. And for me, I was the type of person where I didn't really care about like dating social cues, like oh, you're supposed to wait 3 days so you message somebody, blah blah blah. No, I'm like, if I like you, or if I'm interested, I'm straight to the point. I'm very direct, right? So I was telling her, I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know anything about him, Also, not Somali.
So you were thinking,
I was thinking. So here's the thing, I never envisioned myself being married. That was something I did not want parts in. I never wanted kids. I was like, I want a life partner, right? Like, so I'm like, but I just didn't. I'm like, nah, I'm a chill with my 20 cats. I just wasn't interested.
You were interested to be a cat lady.
I was dedicated. Like, you know the cat lady on Simpsons?
Yeah.
I was gonna throw cats at people because you know how neighbors be. I was gonna live with my mom, and we're gonna be like,
happily ever after.
Happily ever after. Like, I'm happy, because I was happy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want like drama or like involve like no, thank you.
Does that come from somewhere? Is there a reason why you didn't want the white picket fence, the husband, and the children?
It really comes back to me just being different. I just feel like my mom has never pressured me to get married. So she's never said like, hey, your eggs are drying up, find somebody. She's never done that. She's just like, listen, get your education. Boys will always be there. She would check in, do a temperature check. I feel like I feel like I was prepared for men differently, if that makes sense. Where I didn't look at them as the end all be all. Because I seen my mom. She's a single mom. She's done a lot on her own, and to me it was like, if she could do it, I could do it. Like, why do I need a man? But it just came from lack of knowledge. You know what I mean? So it's just like, for me, it's just like, I was like, no, I'm just gonna do my own thing. I like the way that I'm living my life. Like, I just don't see a man being incorporated in that, or children being incorporated in that, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna be a career woman. I'm gonna have my cats. I'm gonna throw them at people, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. That was the plan.
That was my plan. You know?
So what changed it?
Him. So me and him started talking. And we started dating. And then he would ask me, like at the beginning of dating, because I'm like, I don't know these certain cues I don't understand when it comes to dating. But because he wasn't Somali, it was like, oh, how come I can't meet your mom? Why can't I meet your mom? And I'm just like, sir, nobody meets my mom. Like, what? Like, meeting my mom, you know? Like, what?
Yeah.
Because it's like the only time I've seen people meet my mom is when my older brother introduced his wife to my mom. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, you introduce people when you're ready to like have a nikah, get married, you know, go on your life, like go on with your life or whatever. So he's like, I want to meet your mom. I want to meet your mom. I want to meet your mom. So I'm like, no, you're not meeting my mom because it's like you have to, like, you marry my mom after you're engaged to me. So me and him never talked about marriage, mind you. Like, he knew my stance on it. It's like just to let you know, I don't want to get married. This is not something I see for myself, and I don't want to have kids. So I'm like, if you want to be my friend, you can be my friend. That's fine. But we ended up dating just because it's just, you know, wasn't. I was like, whatever. I'll go out with you from time to time. Why not? You know.
So Leema, and let's call him Brooklyn, just so that we have, you know, a tally here. Leema and Brooklyn were dating for a while, but then they broke up. And in the time they broke up, Brooklyn became Muslim. And so he called back Leema and he's like, hey, listen, I know we broke up. I know that things aren't right with us, but I want to let you know that I want us to get back together and that I've become Muslim. And so Leema's thinking to herself, okay, wow, this is a lot. But he's trying, like, you know, he became Muslim. Maybe there's something here for me. You know, maybe this is something special. Then Brooklyn makes the grand proclamation, the grand event. He decides that he's going to get a ring and finally propose to Leema.
He had like a something set up. And I'm like, I see like rose petals and all that stuff. I'm just like, what's going on? Because my birthday is really not that important, you know? So I walk in and I'm like, automatically I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because I remember my good friend telling me, oh, make sure you wear white. I'm like, what's an unforgiving color? I'm not wearing white, you know? I see him and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I'm being so dead serious. When I tell you my brain froze, I'm looking at him. He's on like one knee.
Oh, wow.
And I literally say, hey, what's going on? Mind you, I can't see if there's anybody else there because it's really dark.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on right now? I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, he said a bunch of things. I don't remember what he said. He was really nervous.
Yeah.
And then he was like, would you marry me? And in my head, I'm like, we never talked about this. So when he asked me that, I saw people coming out. I said, oh, my God. Mind you, I remember saying at the earlier, I don't like to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
Ooh, child, the ghetto. I didn't give him an answer.
What?
I stood there frozen.
You didn't say nothing?
I didn't say anything.
And he's sweating.
He's sitting there and he's looking at me. I'm like, are you serious? Like, finally, like, I swear it felt like 5 minutes that I did not say anything. I was just looking at him like I'm like, have I entered the Twilight Zone? It was like an outer body experience. I'm watching myself not say anything.
Oh, my God.
Mind you, none of my family is there. And I'm just like, it's just my friends.
Yeah.
And my weirdo's not there.
And your weirdo's not there.
She would have drove me. She would have been like, we ain't doing this. And she would have like been like.
She would have turned the lights on. Okay, everybody go home. Everybody go home.
Like, no, we're not doing this. So then he's like, so once I break my silence, I'm like, are you serious?
No.
I didn't give him an answer.
No.
I said, are you serious? That's all I kept saying. Are you joking? Are you joking?
Okay.
This is a very recurring theme in my life.
Are you serious?
As in, like, when it comes to proposal, I'm like, what? I was thrown off guard, and I didn't say anything. I just took the ring.
You just put it on.
I just put it on. I didn't even say yes. I did not say yes. I just was, like, frozen. And then I see, like, his friends are there. My friends are there. You know, his cousins are there. And I'm like, oh, Lord, you gonna embarrass this man, aren't you?
Oh, my God.
It's about to be this again. I just took the ring and I sat down. I assumed he took that as a yes.
Yeah.
The ring didn't fit me. Shade.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No shade. Mind you, at this time in my life,
You weren't practicing.
I wasn't practicing.
This all happened when you weren't like...
While I wasn't practicing.
Yeah. So this was just like... And we all had that era, okay? And in that era, you got engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
And I was just like... I remember when I went home... It took me, I don't even know when I told my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I told my mom eventually. But when I got home that night, I said, God, I don't know if you have a plan for me. I don't know if I have a purpose in this. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but if you have a plan for me, just, let me know.
So Brooklyn started to lay on the Islamic tropes thick. He says to her, listen, although we're engaged, we have to make this halal. We can't be doing this back and forth. We can't do a long engagement because it's not permissible in Islam. And so Leema, obviously, the girl that she is, wanting to do the right thing, kind of agrees, says, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I don't want to keep talking to you and not making it halal. And so Leema says yes.
When I tell you, I didn't even get dressed for my nikah.
What?
Nope. I wear pajamas all day. My weirdo came back.
Okay. What did she have to say about it?
She warned me.
She did?
She did.
About what?
She said, do not marry him.
Why?
There's something that everybody saw that I didn't see. The night of my engagement, I said, Allah, if you have a purpose for me, if you have a plan for me. And I was I was like, please. I was begging at that point. Because something in my heart just didn't sit right.
Yeah, you had that feeling. This wasn't right.
When I say doubt is your best friend, doubt is your best friend.
Let me tell you, women have a sixth sense.
Mm-hmm.
We know when something ain't right. Yep. And 9 out of 10 times we're 100% right. You know? And I honestly believe in my humble opinion, I think that's a gift from Allah.
Yes.
I think that's a gift from Allah. And I think the world, if you notice, how they dismantle women is by making them question themselves instead of believing in themselves.
Yep.
Because as soon as a woman starts believing in herself and believing what she feels, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
The game's up. You know?
Yep.
But that's the world is about, doubt, making women doubt themselves.
That's why I always tell everybody, doubt is your best friend. Listen. So I introduced him to my brother. He looked at me. He said my name. He said, no, don't do this.
He said, don't do this.
Don't do this. There's something about him. No, don't do this. But in my head, what I have stuck in my head is I have to make this halal. So it's right under God's eyes. Yeah. So I was like, I felt like I was is the right word indoctrinated? It's a big word. Yeah. I'm not gonna use that. I just feel like that's what I kept having in my head because he kept saying it. Mm-hmm. So it kept going on in my head. Mm-hmm. Right? My brother was like, no. Day before my nikah, my cousin took me out to dinner. She told me, don't do this. 3 people, we're going to count my alien. Yeah. 4 people, I don't think she's going to appreciate me calling her my alien. So fast forward to the day of my nikah. I didn't get dressed. Because I was just like, oh, it's just a nikah, whatever. And then, go on my merry way. I didn't want a wedding because I was like, I don't want to center of attention again. I don't want to be the center of attention, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm sitting and the nikah happened at our townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I was upstairs. I was, sitting with my grandma,
Mm-hmm.
And then my best friend comes.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, my car is parked outside.
Are you ready to go?
Let's
run for it.
If you're going to run for it, do it now. She's my person.
Shout out to that friend, bruh.
No, she's literally, we watch, one thing about us, we love Grey's Anatomy.
Yes.
And we always say, like, she's literally my person.
Oh.
Like.
You always need a friend that's just going to say to you, look dead in your eye and say, I got the getaway car.
When I say she has my back, it does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter. She has me, right? And one thing I always tell people is when I look at soulmate,
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at it as like a partner thing.
Or a romantic one, you mean?
Or a romantic one. No, I don't look at it like that. Your sister could be your soulmate. Your best friend could be your soulmate. She is definitely like my soulmate. Like that's it. Like Allah has designed us to be friends forever, be the golden girls.
Love it.
Like that, for me and her will, like, no matter what, rest of our lives. That's it.
Yeah.
I tell her, no, it's okay. Like, I feel like I'm doing this for the right reasons. I want it to be halal. Like,
This is for God.
This is for God is what I was telling myself, right? That's how I made it. That's how I kind of silenced the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the nikah happens. My mom's looking at me like, you're not a regular bride. Like, you don't want elan. You don't want to put on, like, I had a white guntino that she wanted to wrap for me.
Mm-hmm. Didn't
want to put it on. I said, it's not a big deal. I just want coffee. That's all I want. I just want a coffee.
Wow.
Yeah. To me, it's like, it's not about the nikah. It's not about the wedding. It's about the marriage.
Yeah.
And starting to build that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So you were focusing on that.
So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Right? And I told him that. I said, if we're going to do this, I don't want to ever do this again.
Leema's wedding night did not go as planned. And when I tell you it did not go as planned, I mean it went completely left. Absolutely left. It wasn't the wedding and the wedding night that she dreamed of. It wasn't it. It actually became a nightmare. On the night of her wedding night, instead of, being with your newly husband, they fought instead.
I don't know exactly what the fight is. I called my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, and my mom and my first cousin, who's like my big sister, came to the bottom of my building, and I sat in the car and I said, I don't want to be married to him.
Wow. And it's not even 24 hours.
It was probably not even 24 hours. And this is the time where Kim Kardashian had her 72-day, wedding thing.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot.
So I'm like, I'm going to be the Somali Kim Kardashian. Oh, my God. I made a mistake.
Oh, no.
I was legit like.
Oh, no.
I was talking to my mom. I was saying, oh, my God. Like, I made the biggest mistake in the whole wide world. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, in my head, I was like, oh, my God. I'm going to be the laughing stock of the community. Like Kim Kardashian beat me. But that's what I was saying, right? And then they calmed me down, they talked to me. My mom gave me some advice. I wish I remember what like that night is a blur because I don't remember what we fought about. I just remember them making me feel okay enough to go back upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
The first year of our marriage was hell on earth. It was hell on earth. Like, it was emotionally draining, physically draining. Because I was working a job where I worked 12 hours. Okay. So before I married him, he was acting, right? So
he was an actor?
He was an actor, yeah.
I was about to say. Acting?
Yeah, he was an actor. I'm not going to say what he's been on, but he's been on popular Toronto TV shows.
Oh, wow. Mashallah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we got married, I actually was working a really good job. And he was going to go back to school because the acting roles just kind of dried up. Or I don't know what was going on. But I found myself paying for the full rent. I paid first and last, and I was paying the full amount. And I'm like, okay, this is a partnership now, right? So I'm saying to myself, I should support my husband, right? I should support my husband. You know, if he's going to go back to school, I'll let him go to school and I'll work. So I'll be the one that, you know, pays the bills. So that's what we agreed upon. But because I'm going to be working, you can't expect for me to come from a 12-hour shift and have food on the table because I'm drained, you know? So, and he would come home way earlier than me. So I was like, you know,
if the least you could do is go in the kitchen.
Girl.
That's the least he could do.
Not one meal was cooked for me.
Oh, my God.
Not one meal.
Not only is Brooklyn not cooking dinner or helping around the house, but Brooklyn also isn't going to school. You heard it here, folks. Brooklyn was not going to school.
So I'm not seeing books. I'm not seeing him studying. He's telling me he's telling me he's going to the library to study, and this guy would be late picking me up from work. So I'm like, I started to have like a intuition. I'm like, there's like, it's just not making sense. Mind you, a lot of the times he would leave like our marital home and stay at his mom's house. And I would always get upset because I'm like, why are you going to leave me? I'm a female. I'm by myself. He's like, oh, you have your cat. Don't worry. I'm a cat owner.
Oh, God.
So he's like, you have your cat. You have your cat, blah, blah. Like, you'll be fine. And I'm just thinking, like, what husband would allow their wife to be home alone overnight, right? And just to stay at their mom's house. So it's just like little things that started adding up, right? So I'm like talking to his friend, whatever. We're having like a conversation, and I'm like, let me do some like, let me be incognito about this, you know. So I'm like asking him questions because he was in the same program.
Yes.
Right.
The program that he said he was going to.
So I said, hey, like, you know, I'm like, did you give Brooklyn any, you know, did you give him any books? Like, you know, like, because books are expensive. So this is how I started the conversation. He's like, no, I didn't. Like, he was just with me the other day, you know, we were just kicking up and, you know, doing things he wasn't supposed to do. I said, so he doesn't go to such and such school? He's like, no. You thought he went to that school? I said, yeah. This whole time, this guy was chilling with his friends, smoking weed.
Oh, my.
And drinking.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
At this point, I'm the world's dumbest wife.
No, you're not. You're not dumb.
No, I'm just, like, at that point, that's what I felt like. I'm like, how did I not, like, I knew something was off, but, like, you're working 12 hours. You literally are stuck in that routine, right? You come home, you have, like, literally 1 hour to, like, do whatever, because I used to work 8 to 8 or 9 to 9. You come home at 9, you got to be up 9 the next day. You got to go to bed right away, right? Yeah. So I would literally watch, like, one true crime story. That's it. Like, that's go to bed, you know? So he had the leeway of having all of these hours in the day. So in my head, I'm like, okay, this marriage isn't working. It really isn't working. But at the same time, I was remembering God doesn't like divorces, you know? So I talked to him. I'm like, I tell him, I found out. He's like, oh, I didn't know how to tell you. Like, I didn't want you to think less of me. I'm like, less of you? Oh, my goodness. Like, this whole time, you could have been an acting member in this marriage of bringing a paycheck to this home. You know? At that point, like, to me, I was just like, I was out of love with him at that point. Like, I don't even know if I truly did love him, honestly. I think I just was like, love will come. Love will come. That's what I kept telling myself. The idea of what I thought love was, I realized I don't have that for him. But I also don't want to divorce him because I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to be a failure. And I said, you know what? We're going to go get some counseling. Not therapy, but like, you know, like with an imam or something. Definitely can't go to the masjids that I know.
No, you can't.
I gotta go downtown.
You definitely have to go to a different mosque.
You know?
Yeah.
And he promised me, he's like, okay. He promised me he would stop doing the things that I didn't agree with. The drinking was a huge thing. And then the smoking weed was a huge thing. Whew. Year 2 in this marriage.
Wow, okay.
Girl, I'm still in it. Okay?
Wow. When you think things couldn't get worse, it got worse. Leema found out that Brooklyn actually was not paying the rent and that they were on the verge of eviction.
Because I would be at work, he would be the one paying the rent, right? So I would leave the money there, right? I would leave. So we had like a drawer, you know. So I'll put the money there, put the card in there, you know, and he would have to like go downstairs to the office and pay the rent or whatever the case may be. Or sometimes I'll just put extra cash in there or like, you know, my wallet. You're at home, you're with your husband, you're not thinking too much, right?
I mean, you shouldn't. He's your husband.
Somebody should have told me. Anyways.
Pause. I know. The story is getting so good. But wait, I have a message for you that you're going to want to hear, okay? Have you been looking for an opportunity to reconnect your faith by building a relationship with the Quran? Or even learning Quranic Arabic? Or even getting your questions answered about different rulings? Well, let me tell you. The Ribat Academic Institute is an online program that provides traditional Islamic education for women by women. Yes, you heard me right. Islamic education for women by women. Yes, all the courses are taught by female scholars. Allah Mubarak. You have a choice from over 50 courses ranging from Sirah to Tajweed to Fiqh and Hadith. You can even take classes like the 99 Names of Allah or Purifying the Heart or the reflections from the Quran and the lessons from the life of the Prophet ﷺ, as well as a mentorship matters program on how to guide and support and help others. Ribat's online classes have been reconnecting Muslim women from all around the world with their faith and helping them reclaim their traditionally held leadership roles in Islamic scholarship, mentorship, and community care. All classes are held live online and recordings are posted after class. And the courses, guys, the courses are affordable. They're not expensive at all. They also provide country discounts and scholarships are available. Scholarships are available. So there's no reason why you shouldn't sign up. So if you're interested, visit Rabata, that's RABATA.info/TDS and register today.
The relationship I had with my landlord, and she was giving me good rent too for like a 800 square feet, 1-bedroom apartment, only paying $750 back then. I was like, this is amazing. But at that point, now my mom started getting involved because it's my mom's favor that she did for me to get that apartment, right? And she's saying, what's wrong? What, like, you work. Why can't you pay this bill? Why can't you pay your rent? What's going on?
This episode is paused for a minute to remind you guys that Vibe Check is out, okay? I know the story is getting juicy and you're trying to hear more, but I do have to remind you that Vibe Check is out. It is up for pre-order. If you're thinking about buying Vibe Check, now is your time. You just have to go to our Instagram page, link in bio. It's on our website at www.kickstarter.com/the Vibe Check game. Just go ahead, guys. It's Love-Tember. Support your favorite platform, your favorite podcast. And yeah, can't wait to get these products out to you guys, inshallah. So without any further ado, I know you heard too much about me. Let's continue with the story. So how shocked were you? You were like, no?
I said, I've been paying it. What are you talking about? Like, I literally was like, I said, Brooklyn has been paying it. What are you talking about? She said, no, you need to get out of this lady's house because at this point, you you literally cannot, like, she doesn't trust you guys.
Wow.
Mind you, we're young, so she was thinking in her head, why am I going to go rent to these young people, right? Now me and my cat are displaced. Sorry, I love my cat. He passed away, but like that was my baby. Year 3 didn't last that long. It wasn't even. We didn't even get to year 3, to be honest. I think we were married for 2.5 years. So at this point, he lives at his mother's house. I live at my mom's house. The embarrassment. And every time me and him would get into an argument, he would always say, I'm going to divorce you. So I remember before that, I said, if you say you're going to divorce me one more time, I am done. I am done. So I get back from my cousin's house. This is the day before my birthday. This guy comes to my house and says, we got into our argument. He said, I'm divorcing you. Last strike, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm divorcing you. I don't want to be with you. You know, whatever. He tells me, I only became Muslim because of you.
No.
Yup. Ugh. When I say, I was like, mind you, I wasn't even included in that process, okay? This is something he decided when we broke up, you know. So when he says that to me, I'm like, okay, I guess this is God. I come back to God when he says it. If you have a plan for me, if there's a purpose for this relationship, just, you know, let me know.
And he let you know.
Oh, he let me know right then and there. As soon as those words left his mouth, I was like, yeah, it's over. So he's like, I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to talk to your mom. Like, I'm going to tell her how horrible of a wife you are. All of these things. I said, go ahead. My mom's in the mafia. Go ahead. Go ahead. You know? I was done. From this day, I'm done. I'm divorced. I get out of the room. I'm sitting with my mom. I'm telling my mom, Mom, I'm done. She said, if you're done, I support you. You know? Are you sure you don't want to work it out? I said, no, I'm done. I'm done. It's me, my cat. That's it. That's all I have. I knew marriage wasn't meant for me. I knew it wasn't made for me. It's just, you know, that's it.
I give up.
I give up. I said, I give up. I don't care about people. You know, I don't care if I look like a failure. Guess what? I am a failure because I just made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, you know? And I'm just like, I was sitting there with my mom thinking, how did I get here? How did I get here? Why I allowed this behavior? Because I prided myself in having self-esteem, right? I prided myself my whole entire life that I love myself. I'm this beautiful weirdo. How did I get here? I'm educated. I'm smart. I've seen bad relationships. I've seen bad marriage, you know? Why was I blinded? Right? So my cousin calls me into the room. He's still in the room crying, talking to my cousin, saying, I don't want to divorce her. I said out of anger, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you left the religion. There's no way on God's green earth. Me and you cannot be together. No, I didn't mean it. I said it out of anger. You said it with your whole bird chest. I looked at my cousin. I said, listen, I don't want to be with this man. I want a divorce. Please get my divorce from him.
Leema had decided that her and Brooklyn are going to get a divorce. But Brooklyn was extremely reluctant to give it to her. He was like, I'm not giving you a divorce. I don't care. And so Leema had to take her fate in her own hands. And so she went to an imam, explained her situation, and explained that he had abandoned her rights. One case being, he hadn't provided for her for over 6 months. And Islamically, in terms of like a woman seeking her divorce, is if a man is neglected of your rights, you can go to an imam, like share what he has done, and then they can grant you your divorce. And so that's how Leema got divorced. Leema was determined to leave her past in the past. She decided that I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to do my eat, pray, love. I'm going to find myself. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get some perspective. leave Toronto, you know? Leave all of those tough memories behind. And Leema went everywhere.
You know what? Now that I think back on it, like I really use traveling as like a defense mechanism. Like so when you're in Toronto, it feels like all eyes are on you, especially if something happens with you. And you know our community, like it's there's a lot of Somali people here, but it just feels like it's a small world, you know? Mm-hmm. But when you travel and you leave and you see people outside of your regular, like, you know, life, you feel like so small in this big wide world. Instead of feeling so big and there's like a giant like stamp on your forehead saying I failed at, you know, marriage or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's why I kind of like fell in love with traveling, because I just felt like I'm so small in this big ginormous world.
And while you might be thinking right now the saga of Brooklyn ends here, it does not. Brooklyn does the unthinkable.
Something inside of me said, if you choose to divorce, because God doesn't, you know, God doesn't like divorce, is what I'm saying to myself. Be amicable. If you choose to separate in peace. That's what I was saying to myself. Separate in peace, you know? So I'm thinking, he's older than me, mind you. So I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be amicable too. Nope. So one day I get a phone call. This is while I'm back in the city. A cell phone that I got for him. I think it was he ran the bill up to $2,000.
Oh my God. The one under your name?
Mm-hmm. I canceled it. Right? Ugh. This is my husband. He knows my birthday. He knows my social insurance number.
Excuse me?
Yep.
Don't tell me you're about to take this where I think you're going to take it. Don't tell me that you got robbed.
Girl, he robbed me blind.
Oh.
That's not even the worst part.
It's over. It's over.
It's not even the worst part.
Jonathan, cut the recording. I actually can't deal with this.
That's not even the worst part.
What's the worst part?
I had a credit card.
Oh my God.
I thought I took it back, right? This guy spent $14,000.
Hasbi Allahu wa ni'ma wakil. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. $14,000?
Yeah, because my limit was $20,000.
When he also rounded up $2,000 from the phone?
Yep.
That's $14,000, $15,000, $16,000 he took from you?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, was he also now in the garbage bag? Like, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I didn't tell a single soul.
You didn't tell anybody?
No, because I'm like, listen, I was under the, girl, I don't know how I got through it I don't know. Like, all I knew is I kept talking to Allah, and I said, Allah, please give me the strength. I don't want to be spiteful. Because I was ready to, like, throw, like, bricks through his mama house.
SubhanAllah. Mm-hmm. So when you found out he took $16,000, what did you do next?
I sat there, and I broke down.
Oh, my God.
No, I don't cry in front of people. That's one thing, like, I'm working on it. But that's one thing I don't like to do. I don't like people to see me be vulnerable. I don't like people to see me cry. I sat in my room and cried. I said I never did a single thing to this man. Not a single thing. Right? This is a year after our divorce, and I'm finding all of these things out. Right? Mm-hmm. What do? I run away again. I travel. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say the last horrible thing that he did, and then he doesn't deserve any more airtime. Mm-hmm. I found out through a really good friend of mine. Remember the old really good friend I was telling you about?
Yeah.
He had a relationship with her throughout our whole entire marriage.
The one that bought you that helped him buy the ring?
Shopping with him.
You're freaking lying.
Wallahi billah.
You're lying on everything.
I am not.
That
Wallahi
man.
billah.
he was messing with the girl that bought you your ring that didn't fit?
And
the girl that did all of that was your good friend, was messing with your husband
the whole entire time.
The one that didn't show up to your nikah.
She didn't show up to my nikah. But she sure sat up in my house.
Wow.
She sure sat up and gave me therapy. Trust issues on top of trust issues, on top of like, God, why?
Oh my, she was in your house?
She was in my house.
Giving you advice?
Yeah.
About your man that she's also messing with?
Mm-hmm.
Cut the cord, cut the noise.
It's over.
Anyways. I am flabbergasted by the audacity of these people.
Girl, you gotta go through something in order to grow through something, right?
This sounds like a Tyler Perry black movie on BT that people barely watch. I don't know.
But here's the thing: I found that stuff out. Like, I was done with him, right? I didn't care. Like, I was like, it was messed up, yes. But I found this. Thank God I did. Like, somehow, some way, Allah protected me to where I didn't find that out. When I was when I broke down and said, when I, like, the robbing me was enough.
It was enough.
Right?
Yeah.
The stalking me was the issue. Right? But I was like, regardless, I'm like, I'm going to maintain grace. I'm going to maintain grace. I had a good job, alhamdulillah. I'm like, where I paid, like, still paying it off to this day, but where I was able to pay off those things. And my mom was telling me, had you not had this job, right? And he's doing all this stuff to you and you're finding about it now, like, Allah is still helping you. The thing is like, had I not gone through the experiences that I went through with my ex-husband, there was no way I would have met my current husband, like the love of my life. Don't tell him I said that.
I'll try not to.
It's on a whole podcast. But
talk about proclamation,
right? So the first city I went to, I met somebody. Like, me and my friends met. So the first city I went to, I met these people that were from New Orleans. So I said, you know what? I don't know why on God's green earth I decided to go to that.
Yeah,
that
New Orleans, so random.
It's so random. And like, you know, I don't suggest anybody goes there that's Muslim because it just isn't. It just isn't it. Like, I remember staying in my hotel saying, like, this place is the devil's playground. Like, I was like, and I was so ignorant because I was like, oh, it's New Orleans, you know? Like, I'm not going during, what is it? What's that thing called that they do? Mardi Gras. I'm like, I'm not going during Mardi Gras. Like, I wanted to go see, like, the architecture, and I wanted to see, like,
museums and the history.
The history.
Because there's a lot of history there.
There's a lot of dark history there.
Yes.
You know,
a lot of tragedy.
Like, we went to the Mississippi River, and that's where a lot of slaves were thrown from boats and they drowned. So there's so many bodies in that river alone. So, you know, it was something where I just wanted to understand, like, the black struggle, you know? So, and
we don't get that in Canada, like, that kind of education.
No. No, we don't. And that's something that I honed in on. So charity was one of the things that kind of, like, healed my heart. So whenever I would go to the States, I would go to Boys and Girls Clubs. I would do charity and things like that. So I just wanted to understand the black struggle, because I was like, I could yell Black Lives Matter, you know, all day long, but I want to know what it feels like being black in America, right? Because in Canada, we're in a bubble. We don't recognize, like, microaggressions and things like that. I don't mean to talk about this. I know we're on a topic, but so I go to New Orleans. One of the nights that I go out, you know, we're walking, you know, looking at I think we're on Bourbon Street, so it's in the French Quarter, and it was like really late. It was like 3:00 in the morning, and we're just like walking around, and then I see this tall, light-skinned, light-colored man. Light-colored eyes, and I was just like, you know, I saw he was wearing shoes that lit up, like LED shoes.
Oh no, he did not.
I swear to God, he's a nerd. So he was wearing these LED shoes, and then one of my friends noticed, and she ran up to him and, like, started tapping his shoes. It's like, hey, Why is only one shoe lit? Because he only had one shoe lit. And I'm just like, is that like a thing? Like,
is that intentional?
You know how Nelly used to wear the Band-Aid? I'm like, maybe it's like one of those, like, I don't know, Americans. Like,
you don't know how they roll.
So, and then, so then I go up to him, I'm like, I'm so sorry, like, you know, my friend's tapping your shoe. And like, he like looked at me and I was like, and I looked at him and he was like, oh, where are you from? The baritoneness in his voice. Like, I was like, sir? Like, what? Hi, sir. And then he said where he was from. He's from the Midwest somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. He's like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from Toronto, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, Drakeland. And I was like, psh. Or did he say Drakeland? Yeah, he said Drakeland. And then I was like, oh, whatever. And then he's like, okay, let me, you know, he's like, oh, you're a girl. Let me walk you back to your hotel because there's a lot of like crazy people, which is true. There is. And then I was like, oh, but, you know, like, we're hungry. We're going to go to IHOP. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come. I was like,
who invited this guy?
Who invited this man? Harpo, who is this man?
I don't know.
And he was by himself.
Oh.
Which I was like, you're a serial killer. Like.
He's definitely giving serial killer vibes.
He was.
At 3 in the morning with one shoe lit?
Mm-hmm. I wish, like, so we went to IHOP. I wish you could hear his laugh is very, like, robotic. Like, the way that he laughs.
Okay, do that.
No, I swear to God, he will say that. Like, his laugh was so robotic. And I realized, like, later on, knowing him, that's a fake laugh.
But like when you see robotic, like, haha.
Yeah, and it was like he I was looking at him like, what is, like, you know?
That would have been enough for me to say, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And we gotta go.
He was so funny though. That's the thing that I was just like, this guy is hilarious. Even though you're giving me serial killer vibes. And then he gave me a card. He's like, yeah, this is my social. I'm like, who gives out a card?
Like, that's his contact information?
This is like 20. Yeah, he had his contact information on there. And I was like, who has like a card? Like, this man is about his business. It just felt very like, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I added him on Snapchat. And then he started talking to me. And I'm like, listen, sir, I'm not looking for a relationship. FYI, you know, I don't want to ever get married. I don't ever want to have kids. Like, I was like very upfront about everything.
Your trauma from before is jumping.
She was like, she came out and was like, hello, what's going on? What are we doing here?
Trauma enters the room.
Mm-hmm.
We are not looking to get married or have babies. It's me and my cat. This is merely a conversation.
Yeah, that was literally it. So we talked on Snapchat every day for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, we were just friends. Mm-hmm. Like, so he was seeing somebody else, and I was like, you know me, I was just on my journey, you know, and he would always tell me. This is one thing that I was just kind of like, He'd always tell me, like, whenever I would talk to him, he's like, hey, I prayed for you. I said, excuse me? He's like, yeah, I'm Muslim. I said, what?
What?
Yeah, I was like, huh?
Plot twist?
That was the plot twist of my life.
Oh, my God.
It took me a year to find that out. Because I was just like, oh, it's just a friend, whatever. You know, you're just...
So that really kirked your head.
I was like, this man
because
prayed for me.
You know why it might have shocked you even then, too? Because this whole time you didn't think he was Muslim.
No, I didn't.
Meaning he didn't have a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Not a snowball chance.
Not a snowball chance in hell. And then he tells you, I'm Muslim. Like, oh, we gotta stop talking.
No, so I was just like, I said, excuse me?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. I said, ain't no way.
So random.
It came up so random in conversation. I said, how long have you been Muslim for? He's like, 3 years. And I said, oh. I was like, okay, you know, brother.
Akhi.
Literally.
In Islam.
Yeah, but then it like blew my mind how much knowledge he encompassed in only 3 years.
Wow.
That's the thing that blew my mind. Where I was just like, you know, I was somebody where my mom always taught me about the religion, but she did it in a way where when we were kids, she would read us bedtime stories. And I found out like later on in life, when I started reading the Quran, I said, wait, no, I swear to you. I was
Don't
like,
tell me that the stories of Baqarah were like, I thought that was a bedtime story.
Yes.
But that's so...
I literally had that. Like, I was like, you know, because I was like, wait, hold up.
Oh. That's so cute.
I literally went to my mom and I was like, ma'am, explain thyself. But honestly, like, that is a beautiful way of teaching children. And that's something that I like took and was like, yes, this is how I'm going to do things. So in my teens, I always equated everything with the religion with hijab. So I was like, okay, so if I start praying, that means I have to dress more modestly. And if I dress more modestly, then, you know, fashion's a huge thing for me, and that's how I express myself. I was like, it's going to hold my, like, I won't be able to express myself if I'm wearing all black. And that's something I thought about, you know. It's like if I'm wearing, like, you know, a jilbab or, you know, that's how I looked at modesty, was like jilbab. And I looked at the way my mother dressed. And I was like, okay, if I choose to, you know, do all of these things, then I'd have to dress like my mother. And I wouldn't be able to, like, express myself because, like, again, like, fashion, coloring my hair different colors, and doing all of these things was a way where I expressed myself and I rebelled against, like, the norm. So I thought it would hold me back. The whole time God had a plan for me. And I remember telling myself, like, okay, saying my own name. I was like, you know, there's only so far God is going to pull your rope. Like, there's only so far that your rope will go before it's cut. And then, you know, by then it's too late. And then I'd be like, you're not guaranteed your next breath, you know? So then I just kept going back and forth. And then in my teens, I just felt like I was just lost. Like, I was really lost. Like, I knew so much about the deen because my mother taught me. And I was like, man, every day that I walk, I'm getting punished more and more because the more knowledge you know,
the more you're going to be accounted for.
Exactly. Right? I can't blame ignorance. I can't blame any of those things. So, like, I wasn't practicing, but faith was something I held on to, which sounds strange, but I still would sit there and talk to Allah and, you know, be like, oh, like, you know, it's like I need a way. So I could, because my whole thing is like, I don't want to start then stop, then start then stop. And nobody was telling me like, oh yeah, it's okay not to be perfect. Because I equated practicing to perfection. To absolutely. Ihsan. I think ihsan means perfection. That's what I equated it to. So I'm like, I'm not going to be perfect. I have all these things that are wrong about me. You know, it's like, how am I going to be able to, you know, pray 5 times a day? Because when you start to pray, those prayers revolve around your day. Right? And that's something I remember, like, my mom and, like, you know, my siblings would say, like, because my siblings were practicing and I wasn't. I was like the black sheep. You know, my sisters always wore hijab and things like that. And I just was like the black sheep. And my mom would always be like, oh, this girl, what do I need to do? And so that's where I was practicing wise. Even after my marriage, I still wasn't, I got closer to Allah, but like the practicing aspect, I was like, if I start then stop, it's going to be an issue. I still didn't have anybody explain to me that you don't need to be perfect. So that was like my main issue, because I was saying, like, you need to be perfect. You need to pray 5 times a day. You need to, you know, wear hijab, wear jilbab. Like, you need to, like, you know, wear gloves on your hands so nobody sees your hands. You need to cover your ankles. You need to do all of these things. So to me, it's like, I always equated the religion with perfection. Knowing that and then it's like, when my husband was talking to me and I was telling him these things, he's like, do you understand that human beings are not perfect? Did you ever stop and think that, you know, nobody's perfect? And I was like, yeah, but you need to pray 5 times a day. You need to do all these things. And, you know, he's like, if that was the case, that Allah would have made us all perfect. You know? What would be the purpose? What would be the purpose for us if we were made perfection? If we were made to be like perfect, right? What's the point?
Yeah, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if everyone was like perfect and did the right thing, that he would replace us with sinners.
Exactly.
And that's something that I always loved when I heard it for the first time, because it helped me acknowledge my imperfection. And you're right, the way that, especially me, I can only speak for the way that I was taught Islam is from a place of perfection. Like, there are all of these things and you have to hit them, and if you don't, then you're not. And these are tricks of shaitan, right? He
100%.
wants you to blow out quickly. And in reality, it's just about choosing Allah every day.
Exactly.
Choosing him. When you fall, you get back up, you choose him again. And it's just like this journey. But no, this religion isn't for the perfect.
No, it really, and
it's not. It's really not for the perfect, bro. And I want that to ring true to anybody that's listening. This religion isn't for the perfect. This is for the one that is down, the one that is struggling. This is the one that feels like everything is weighed on their shoulders. This is meant to relieve you. You know what I'm saying? And I wish I heard it when I was still young.
Me too.
Because
sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm not gonna cry.
Girl, we all cry out here.
No, I'm not.
Let me tell you, it's our brand. Okay? It's crying and laughing. It's
Cry
just
now,
the way
laugh
we
later.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to show emotion here, because it's real life what we're talking about. You know, it's real life, and many of us have very shared experiences in this. And like, I'm telling you, if I knew that lesson, I would have probably been far more God conscious, like longer. Like, I would have did this earlier if I had just known that. If I just known that, like, come as I am.
Yes.
Like, you know, come as I am, and just strive to be the best, and that's okay. Just as we strive in our careers, just as we strive in our endeavors, we strive in this too. And it's just, at the time, I just felt like, yo, you're not with it. Sit on the bench.
Yeah, basically
sit on the bench and just watch and feel guilty. You know, that you can't keep up.
The guilt, the weight of the guilt. That's the part that I was like, you know, the weight of the guilt was just so unbearable.
It was crippling.
It was crippling. And I remember just saying, like, Allah, please don't let me leave this earth until you are pleased with me. Because I would fear death. Because obviously I wasn't prepared for it. And I don't know why. It's something that I kept like thinking about. It's like, okay, you're gonna leave this earth, and you're not practicing, you're not doing all of these things. Because I would look at people like my sisters, I would look at people like my brothers, I would look at, you know, people in the masjid. They'd be like, wow, they're so religious, they're so perfect, you know. And then I remember, like, my husband would say to me, he was like, before we were married, he was like, you know, all you have to do is just start praying, and then things will fall into place. Just start praying, just start with that. You know, because the first thing you're asked about, you know, is salah. So he was like, just start praying, and then everything will fall into place. And I kind of just ignored him. I was like, okay, whatever, dude. You know, whatever. Because I just was like, you know, like, I was very, like, stubborn. So then, out of nowhere, like, my mom was like, hey, you know, I gifted all of my kids with Umrah. I'm gonna gift you Umrah.
Oh, your mom gifted you Umrah?
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
And the thing is she's gone so many times. Yeah. And she always tells me, every time I go there, I make dua for you, like, all the time. You know, I just want you to, you know, I just want you to, like, you know, have peace and, you know, practice and things like that. So and then this is where the shaitan comes in, and I was just like, oh my God, if you go to Umrah, you can't come back and mess around. Like, you gotta come back, put on hijab.
It's like, it's kind of like you go there, come back transformed. That's the whole, and that's, again, I don't know where this comes from.
I have
right?
No idea either.
That when you go to Umrah and you come back, you cannot be a sinner.
No, you can't.
And it blows my mind. because we're inherently sinners.
This?
I don't know. It's just like, because I think we confuse it with the whole sense of like, okay, we go there, we're really like trying to mend our affairs there, right? And come back reformed. And I think in essence, it's a good thing. I think it means well, like we're trying to change our ways. But then that doesn't also mean that you don't give yourself mercy when you do fall. You know what I'm saying? True. That doesn't mean that you are hard on yourself when you struggle like that. That's not what that's about. You have to be as merciful as Allah is to you. You know what I'm saying? With the things that you struggle. Remember, you go in there, you strive, and when you fall, you get back up. But it's like, I've seen this time again where people go to Umrah, they come back, they try so hard, and then they fall off. Because, there's also this element of just doing things too fast and not being conscious, you know what I'm saying? Of like, okay, the best deeds are the ones that are consistent. Let me be consistent. Yeah. Let me build. Let me build my iman. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Let me create something sturdy. You know what I'm saying? But then you get on this high and then you see people fizzle out. Mm-hmm. You see people burn out and then they feel guilty even worse. And then it's a hole, and then they get into a spiral and they completely like give up and they completely fall off and then all of a sudden they're in despair. And I just wish they just knew that this is not a race. No. This is a marathon. This is a long one.
Where do we get the thing that it's a race? Everything needs to be done like right away. Like we need to pray every single day on time. You can't be a second late. And we know, like, we think that Jannah is a race, like a rat race, basically. That makes sense.
I mean, the thing is that we're all striving. I think it's about doing things and being consistent and being sincere about it. Mm-hmm. And when you fall, having mercy.
We don't give ourselves enough mercy.
We don't. We are so ruthless. And I think that, like, subhanAllah, it's a little devastating to see because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so compassionate. And he says it numerous times that he forgives all sins all the time.
He's more merciful with his slaves
than
a mother is to her child. Can you imagine that type of mercy?
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, think about that.
That's
it's blind. It's mind blowing. My favorite example of Allah's mercy, like a reflection, is when I was learning about the story of Musa alayhi salam, and Fir'aun was finally beaten, like he lost, and he was in the bottom of the, like he was drowning in the water, and obviously the fight is over, right? Yeah. But subhanAllah, Jibreel alayhi salam went in the water after him. Okay, after the whole thing is over, the debacle's over, he went into the water and he put sand in Fir'aun's mouth. And when he was asked, why did you do that? He was like, I was afraid that he would basically repent, that he would ask for Allah's forgiveness and that Allah would forgive him. And we're talking about Fir'aun. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know the magnitude of Fir'aun's action,
person.
His actions, bro. Yeah. And for Jibreel alayhi salam to be afraid that Fir'aun himself would receive the mercy of Allah. First of all, nobody knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than Jibreel. If somebody had to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's Jibreel. Yep. Because Jibreel was the messenger. You know what I mean? So with that, when I just saw how Jibreel reacted to that fear, I was like, subhanAllah, look how merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Jibreel knew that was a high possibility he would forgive him. And Fir'aun has done everything from murder, right? Yeah, he has done
evil
you can think of.
Just think about what he did to his wife.
What he did to children. He killed numerous children. You know what I'm saying? Like, Fir'aun was the bottom of the barrel, and Jibreel was afraid he would reach Allah's mercy, and so he put sand in his mouth. And so every time that I feel like I fall and I think, oh my God, I can't do this, I remind myself that what's available for me is that kind of mercy. Yes. And so I have to have that kind of mercy for myself at this moment. I don't know why I'm getting emotional.
Don't do this to me. You know what? I'm very happy that, that you shared that, because had I, heard that, I could just imagine how much it's going to do for people. They'll do a lot of that.
I know.
May Allah grant you the highest of heavens. I mean,
no, it's to me, it's a reminder for myself.
Yeah.
Mostly, everything I say is like a reminder for myself because I'm in a studio in the dark, okay, and it's just you and me, and but I those were the things I held on to at the beginning of this journey. Those are the things that I held on to at the beginning of this journey, right? When I started becoming God cautious at 20, was I needed to hear about Allah's mercy because I didn't provide that availability for my own self,
Yeah.
And so it's something to remind, mankind as often. And that's the reason why Allah talks about his mercy more times than he ever talks about his punishment in the Quran. And there's a reason for it because as humans he knows us best,
and some of us can't even fathom that. So I'll talk about the Umrah experience.
So to go ahead, get into Umrah.
So I was saying to myself, like, I can't go, and then my husband was like, please just go. This is an opportunity that a lot of people on this earth don't get. He believes there's people on this earth that will never see the Kaaba. They'll never see, that will never feel the peace of Medina. That will never be in Mecca and see, sorry. It's just, and I didn't realize all of those things. He's just like, listen, when you go to Umrah, you're a guest of Allah. And so he just kept pushing, and he said, and you know what, when he come back, we're gonna have our nikah.
What?
Yeah.
In every Disney rom-com film you can think of, we only know up until the wedding day. That is the happily ever after. Rarely do we ever get to hear love stories after the happily ever after. And so in part 2, Leema talks about her love. Does she stay happy? Does Allah test them again? Does love test Leema again? Find out next week. See you then, guys. Love Temper continues. Okay, this episode is brought to you by Beautiful Light Studios. Shout out to Munashal Umar, my producer, for producing this lovely episode. Sis never misses. She brings us that content every Friday, and we love you for it. Also, shout out to Sima for our digital print images that you guys see and know and love. Shout out to Sima. Jazakallah khair for your wonderful talents. And yeah, I will see you guys. Not see you guys. I will be with y'all in your ear, in your speaker next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.